Hi, I'm Matt Stoller, author of Monopoly-focused newsletter Big and an antitrust policy analyst. I have a great segment for you today on this big breakdown. Okay, so this one's for you if you love hiking. And it's about how a giant consulting firm named Booz Allen somehow gained a measure of control over U.S. national parks. All right? Okay. So every day, visitors to Vermilion Cliffs National Monument in northern Arizona hike into an area named Coyote Buttes North to see one of, quote, the most visually striking geological sandstone formations in the world, end quote, which is known as the Wave. All right, here's a picture. Okay, so it's a pretty weird place. On an ancient layer of sandstone, millions of years of water and wind erosion crafted giant cliffs, weird canyons that look like you're on Mars, giant formations that look like crashing waves made of rock. There are old carvings known as petroglyphs on cliff walls and even dinosaur tracks that are embedded in the sediment. So the Wave is unlike anywhere else on Earth. It's also part of a national park, a US national park, and thus technically it's open to anyone. To preserve its beauty, however, the Bureau of Land Management lets just 64 people daily visit the area. And snagging one of these slots is an accomplishment. A ticket into the Wave is known as the hardest permit to get in the USA by Outside and Backpacker magazine. To apply requires going to a site, recreation.gov, which is where the government manages national parks, public cultural landmarks, public lands. You go there, you pay $9 for a lottery application fee. And if you win, you get a permit. Then you pay a recreation fee of $7. The success rate for the lottery is between 4 and 10%. Some people spend upwards of $500 before securing an actual permit.
The golden ticket. We had to apply for a lottery.
Yes.
For this trip because today we're doing the Wave.
The Wave. Woohoo!
But while the recreation fee of $7 goes to maintaining the park, the money for the lottery application fee, the $9, does not. That money instead goes to the giant DC consulting firm Booz Allen and Company. In fact, since 2017, more and more of America's public lands, over 4,200 facilities and 113,000 individual sites across the country at last count, have been added to the recreation.gov database and website run by Booz Allen, which in turn captures various fees that Americans pay to visit their national heritage. Now, you could do a lot at recreation.gov. You can sign up for a pass to cut down a Christmas tree on the Roosevelt National Forest, get permission to do fly fishing, rifle hunting, or target practice at thousands of sites, even secure a tour at the National Archives in Washington, D.C. There are dozens of lotteries to enter for different parks and lands that are hard to access or that require a limited number of people. This includes, heavily visited lands like Acadia National Park, which has 4 million annual visitors. Arches National Park, which is 1.5 million visitors. Glacier National Park, which is 3 million. Rocky Mountain National Park, which is 4.4 million. And Yosemite, 3.3 million visitors a year. Not all of those aren't lottery sites. Those are just places where lots of people go. The thing is all of them or most of them on recreation.gov come with service fees attached. And these fees go directly to Booz Allen, which built the site. The deeper you go, the more interesting the gatekeeping. Now, most people don't know that these service fees are going to Booz Allen. They think it's going to the park, so they don't mind. But when you find out, people get really mad. So as one angry writer found out, waiting on hold and being transferred multiple times because this person was trying to find out where the money went, but also who set the fees, she found that Booz Allen, she was told after being on hold for a long time, Booz Allen actually sets the recreation.gov fees for themselves. Now, there's nothing wrong with charging a fee for the use of a national park, as long as that fee is necessary for the upkeep and is used to maintain the public resource. And that was, in fact, the point of the law passed in 2004, the Federal Lands Recreation Enhancement Act, to give permanent authority to government agencies to charge fees for the use of public lands. But what Booz Allen is doing is different. The incentives here are creating the same dynamics for public lands that we see across the economy with junk fees. So just as airlines charge for carry-on bags and hotels are forcing people to pay resort fees, some national parks are now requiring reservations with fees attached when before they didn't. As scalpers automatically grab Taylor Swift tickets from Ticketmaster using high-speed automated programs, there are now bots booking campsites. Okay, so what is Booz Allen? Okay, who are these guys? Now, some of you may remember it as the company where controversial National Security Agency whistleblower Edward Snowden worked. Now, on their website, Booz Allen lists its business as follows, quote, "We bring bold thinking and a desire to be the best in our work in consulting, analytics, digital solutions, engineering, and cyber with industries ranging from defense to health to energy to international development." I mean, that's basically like prestige worldwide. They don't, what the hell does it even mean? And the thing is when you can't identify what a company does, like we sell socks or whatever, when they throw out lots of garbage like that, it's usually because it does something useless or corrupt or both. And in this case, Booz Allen just operates as a shadow government. Now, Snowden was operating as a National Security Agency employee, but was employed by Booz Allen. And recreation.gov is a government website that's supposed to handle government lands, but it was created and has fees going to Booz Allen. In 2017, Booz Allen got a 10-year, $182 million contract, could consolidate all booking, with 13 different government agencies participating, from the Bureau of Land Management to the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration to the National Park Service to the Smithsonian to the Tennessee Valley Authority to the U.S. Forest Service and so on and so forth. And there's a lot of money involved. For instance, as one camper noted, in just one lottery to hike Mount Whitney, more than 16,000 people applied, and only a third got in. Yet everyone paid the $6 registration fee, which means the gross income for the single location is over $100,000. Going to Booz Allen. There's nothing criminal about this scheme, but it does hand sort of Ticketmaster-like control of our national parks, our national lands, cultural monuments to this private firm. But that's not where the story ends. In 2020, an avid hiker named Thomas Kotabe sued the Bureau of Land Management over the $2 processing fee it charges to access the mandatory reservation system to visit Red Rock Canyon Conservation Area. He claimed, among other things, that the Federal Lands Recreation Enhancement Act, that's the law that authorizes the government to charge his fees, mandated that this fee was unlawful because it had not gone through the notice and comment period required by the law. A few years later, a judge named Jennifer Dorsey, who was appointed by Obama in 2013, agreed with him. She looked at the statute and found that Congress authorized the charging of recreation fees for the purpose of taking care and using federal lands, not administrative fees that compensated third parties. As such, Booz Allen's ability to set its own prices was inconsistent with the law, mandating the public's right to comment on what we are charged for using our own land. The Bureau of Land Management sought to appeal, but then dropped the appeal in July. Why? Well, rather than a bitter procedural argument about classifying fees, the government and Booz Allen just decided that they'll go through the annoying process of having the public comment on Booz Allen's compensation and then ignore us using a sort of phony process where they get fake advisors to approve things. So here's a screenshot of one of the endless advisory committee meetings where they did this. So this is the Mojave Southern Great Basin Resource Advisory Council meeting in August, simply proposing directly to substitute new standard amenity fees, quote, equal to the associated recreation.gov reservation service fees. This is in response to the court loss. So one notable part of the saga is that technically the Bureau of Land Management and Booz Allen owe refunds to everyone who went through Red Rock Canyon's timed entry system from 2020 to 2022, but they'll probably ignore that and what seems like steal the money anyway. The Federal Lands Recreation Enhancement Act, which is the bill that Congress authorized to allow the government to charge fees, and they put in restrictions because they knew that government likes to charge these fees even when they shouldn't. That's what the bill was designed to do. Well, the authorization runs out in October of 2023. So that's next year. And that means that Congress has to renew it. And they'd sort of do this automatically. But an interested member of Congress on the relevant committee who likes hiking, and there are a bunch of them, could actually tighten the definitions here and find a way to stop Booz Allen and these 13 government agencies from engaging in this kind of like minor theft from junk fees. It wouldn't really be hard, and it would be kind of fun to force a bunch of government agencies to actually do their job and actually take over the site themselves or pay Booz Allen a fee for its service. Another path would be that President Joe Biden, he's got what's called an anti-junk fee initiative, using a bunch of different regulators to say, you can't charge this fee, you can't charge that fee, there's consumer protection laws and whatnot in the private sector. Well, he could just assert through what's called the White House Competition Council to the 13 different agencies that they end Booz Allen's practice of charging these kinds of fees. I mean, if you're going to try to stop junk fees in the private sector, might as well get the government to stop it too. Now, I don't want to overstate the problem. We have wonderful national parks, and they're still there. And the thing is, we can set up a website that doesn't charge junk fees. It's not that hard. But to get there, we'll have to recognize the real problem at work, which is not just that Booz Allen got this contract. The problem is ideological. The government officials supporting Booz Allen are doing it for a specific reason. They believe in something called privatization, which is the idea that the private sector can do stuff better than the government can directly. So instead of the government building a website, they hire a shadow government, aka Booz Allen, to do the same thing and give that shadow government taxing authority, aka the junk fees on recreation.gov. Now, sometimes the private sector can do stuff better than the government. Sometimes the government can do stuff better than the private sector. It sort of depends. But this ideology is one where it's always better to have private sector actors doing things. So they think that if you have a bunch of web developers in a government building, that's somehow worse than having a bunch of web developers in a non-government building doing the same thing at 3 times the cost. It's stupid, but this ideology is deeply entrenched. So if it seems like everything today in America is kind of a scam, that's because increasingly it is. But of course it doesn't have to be. And not everything. I mean, the parks are still there, right? But the problem writ large is political. It's that most of us don't know how our system works. Everyone assumes that the fees on recreation.gov go to the national parks. I've talked to members of Congress about this problem who are really surprised that the fee money on recreation.gov is going to Booz Allen. That's not what they thought. That's not why they wrote the law. If it seems like everything in America increasingly is a scam with some sort of ticky-tack fee or something, that's because increasingly it is. But of course, it doesn't have to be. And the problem here is ideological, and it's also that most of us don't really know how the system works. So in this case, everyone assumes the fees on recreation.gov go to the national parks. I've talked to members of Congress about this problem, and they are shocked that the fee money is going to Booz Allen. Now, once enough of us know, we can fix it. And there are enough Thomas Katab types in America, and he's the guy who brought the suit against the $2 fee to make sure of that. And we're gonna fix this. More broadly, we're gonna roll back privatization. It's too ridiculous not to. But in the meantime, we're gonna have to pay our $2 fees to get access to the national parks. And that's pretty infuriating. Thanks for watching this big breakdown on the Breaking Points channel. If you'd like to know more about how big business and how our economy really works, you can sign up below for my market power focused newsletter, Big, in the description. Thanks, have a good one.
Hey guys, ready or not, 2024 is fully upon us now, and Saagar and I have been brainstorming ways that we can really up our game for this critical election.
Yeah, we rely on our premium subs to expand our coverage, to add staff, to upgrade the studio. We just want to give you the best independent coverage of this election, which is possible. So if you can help us out, become a premium subscriber today, breakingpoints.com, or the link is down here in the description video. It really means the world to us, and if you like what we're all about, this is the best possible way to keep us 100% independent, working only for you.